Good morning, everyone, and welcome to what is our final meeting this school year.
Oh, it is.
For the virtual community engagement session. That is hard for me to believe. It's been
We should
a
probably
year.
we should probably do a July special.
You know.
Yeah, that anyone's around.
we
Yeah,
might.
Yeah.
Hey, we might do one maybe before school or something, just a little fun thing.
Yeah, I think we can.
Make that
I'm sure
happen.
that'll have to happen.
Yeah. This is our 7th session, and we are appreciative that you are spending some of your morning with us. So we are going to be mindful of your time, and let's dive right in. Going to ask Dr. Wade, our superintendent here, some of the questions that we've gotten from you. So here we go.
All right.
Can we expect any changes to your reopening plans for the 2021-22 school year?
Well, this past year has taught us anything.
Any indicator?
Yeah. I mean, no, I think the answer I've been consistently giving is I think we all know where all this is trending. So I really don't see a lot of it particularly changing. I think the only thing that's really going to change would be the start and end times. But I mean, and I can get to that probably in a minute. Mm-hmm. But I think in terms of what's been communicated, that we're going to be 5 days face-to-face and we are not offering a virtual academy, then I don't see that changing. I think it would take also another near catastrophic event that kind of happened over a year ago for us to kind of get back to where we were for any of that to change. So I feel very confident on that. I think the only thing I'm kind of waiting out on are the start and end times. I'm actually shocked that that's not a question. Is that actually one of the questions? Is it?
It might be.
Should I wait?
We'll see. Yeah. You can.
So, but I know people then ask me about, the masks and obviously,
Right.
It's all changing. And I don't see us mandating the masks. It's going to be, at everyone's particular leisure. I think the only thing we're kind of really waiting on from the state is really about capacity guidelines.
Right.
For large events, which, I think many people tend to forget, especially with graduation around the corner, that's still actually in place.
Right.
As, are those affecting busing, which I'm getting the sense is a question. So.
Hey, and so you made me think about, what we have done and all the other districts have done. We'll be watching guidance from CDC, from DHEC, Department of Ed, as we roll into the next year. But I think everything you've touched on is right. I was gonna note that for our all of our sessions, we've been wearing masks, and so just in a nod to the traditional, I'm wearing mine, and this is the first time you haven't worn it at one of these sessions.
Oh God, that's what he looks like. But
so there we go.
He's so young. And I got my shots.
Yep. So me too. Number 2, why aren't the start and end times changing for next school year? Because you knew it was going to come up.
I probably we should start putting bets on what questions are going to come up just to see what happens, what the odds are. So as has been communicated previously, what really hasn't changed has actually been the capacity guidelines for buses. If anyone pays attention to all those wonderful things that come out of the state, you'll notice that at one point they removed it, like February or March.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was more March, that it went from 67% to 100% capacity, and then all of a sudden they put it back in a month later. And the reason why is because the state actually, they provide all of our transportation. But to subsidize that cost, they actually take federal funds. So then they have to do federal guidelines. So the guidelines are 67%. So the reality is we can't provide busing in a reasonable way unless we kind of keep the current hours based off this capacity. So the current start and end times that we've had this year, right now people can anticipate that's what it will be for next year. But of course, if those guidelines change, then we will be making those changes to the start and end times at all the different levels.
So
and all of our building administrators, we've been in active conversations about that. So do I have an idea of what they'll be? Yes. But it would not be appropriate to share until we know for sure that's what's going to happen, to avoid confusion.
The other thing worth touching on regarding busing might be the mask issue.
Yeah, there's that, and then whether or not seats are dividers and all that. I mean, I think even a board member, one of the meetings asked, like, well, is that going to change? Yes, it's more, I believe it's going to change, but until that happens.
And that is federal guideline right now. And so you may be very right. Is it not that
Yeah,
wearing
that's
the
kind of how it
on a
feeds
bus?
through. Well, the
Not-
bus you
right.
have to, and then
Right.
even the state kind of goes along with it. So,
Yeah.
students, if they filled out the form, the opt-out, mask opt-out form
Yeah.
that we've all are
Right.
familiar with right now at this point, they still have to wear a mask on the bus. We have not had issues, I mean, about any of that. So even despite that wonderful chaos that we were all experiencing, thank you to all of you for being understanding and helpful during that time.
Right. And so, buses, we'll keep you posted on that mask requirement,
Yeah.
whatever that is at the beginning of the next school year. And you already touched on, can we expect that start-end time to change? Stay tuned.
Yep.
And so our next question. We've been hearing a lot about all of this money coming from the federal government. How does Lexington2 plan on using it?
So what's being referenced is really the ESSER-2 and the American Relief Plan, or ARP, or I kind of been calling it affectionately the Biden money, and the district's receiving a total of $33.1 million. Every district is pretty much now in a position where no one really knows what to do with all this money. We do have a lot of guidelines about what we can do with it. One of the big things, like two things that we really can't do, that I probably need to clarify for everyone, like it can't go towards bonuses or salaries, for example. Like, I mean, I can't just say everyone gets like a 2% raise and here's the federal money to do it. You can't do any of that. Nor can you supplant what's currently in your particular budget. You can't, like, let's say, reduce maybe taxpayer expenditure by just saying, hey, we're going to take $10 million out next year and we'll take it out of ESSER ARP. No. This money is used primarily to meet learning loss. Now, having $33.1 million, in such a short time frame, because we only have 3 years to spend it, I mean, that's a lot of money for a very short time frame in terms of what we can do. So how we've already spent some of it has kind of been on really about technology, making sure all of our teachers and all of our employees, I should say, not just teachers, but our students, we all kind of have devices are at the same caliber. And now we're kind of up on a consistent timeline with what to do with that. We've also spent it on some curriculum programs that have been, recommended and vetted and approved, so we're using, those funds. What we anticipate using for the remaining funds, will be tied towards like instruction or PD, and we are looking at hiring additional FTE or employees to help meet that learning loss. So that could include, having additional sections to maybe reduce classroom sizes or keep other programs afloat. And we've been doing a mix of that. So like keeping programs afloat, OASIS is a good example of that. But then also for reducing class sizes, like we had a big issue this school year when our high schoolers were registering or, getting their schedule. They couldn't actually enroll in all the classes that they could have. Like we didn't offer a lot of electives. It was just becoming increasingly difficult to do so. So now our number of sections in all these different departments is kind of thrown off, because it might take a year or two to kind of balance all that out and get back to where we should be. So we're hiring some additional FTE for there, and obviously, as the need comes, we'll try, we'll do what we can. But there's still lots, tens of millions of dollars of more money. We can use it for, helping out with technology, making rooms more accessible or mobile. There's a lot of different reasons that we have to have the state approve. So it's not like I can just simply do this wherever. It still, in the end, has to be approved by the state. And so we've been going through that process. I think we're going to be sending out something to people to get suggestions on what they would like to do. I think another thing that we're getting excited about to kind of help learning loss is offering something that might be like an after-school program for next year that we're calling Lex 2.5. How clever. Lex 2.5. Where for all grade levels that we offer some opportunities after school that supervise to help with intervention, activity time, even mental health, food, and we can provide food and transportation. So we're trying to flesh all that out too. There's a lot. I mean, so and the state keeps adding more and more things for us to do. Basically, everyone's just nervous that there's all this money out there and people want it to be spent wisely, which is absolutely understandable. So that's kind of where all that money is at. I don't know. Did all that make sense?
It made complete sense. And I'm thinking the stay tuned theme continues because you'll be hearing more about that probably over the summer too.
And we're not spending. Oh yeah, we're not going to spend all this by August. Like that's not going to happen. But I mean, it's going to be an ongoing discussion, especially as we kind of prioritize what our needs are going to be. So we got a lot. We have a lot there. We have a lot to take into consideration.
More to come. Exactly. So. The next question, do students need to be vaccinated from COVID-19 to attend school in LexingtonTwo for next year?
As communicated previously, no. We don't. I mean, that's beyond my pay grade and my expertise. I'll let other people tell me I have to do that. I don't see that happening, to be honest. Now, we are offering, I kind of wonder maybe part of that reason why the questions were kind of coming out about that is because, continuing with our partnership with Lexington Medical, we have the opportunity for students to receive the vaccination here actually at the Innovation Center
this week.
This
weekend.
June
9 to 12.
Yeah, God, I keep forgetting we're in June. Yes. June 5th, so maybe that's why, but I mean, that's just an opportunity if people wish to take it, but there's no expectation or anything else.
Right, and so you should have received something from us through your email about that clinic this weekend. If you're interested, there was a sign-up link to it, 9 to 12 here at the fabulous Innovation Center, which I always like to brag on when we're sitting here. So anyways, if you're interested in that, take a look at your email, or I'll probably post something on the website or social media. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm glad you mentioned that, is I did put up on our websites some of DHEC's required vaccinations for students next year. COVID-19 not on it, but there are some other ones. So it's that information is included in our registration. So the vaccinations are included in our registration information online. So do take a look at those. You don't want to wait till the end of summer before you look and then try to get an appointment. But there are lots of ways to find those required vaccinations from DHEC. So anyways,
that's actually simple.
On to the next one. You've talked a lot about mental health. What is the district planning to do about that?
Well, I mean, we've actually are doing a lot right now. So, I mean, the biggest thing is getting the inclusion of school social workers. So we're very much really excited about that prospect to kind of handle the increasing intensity and diversity of the needs of our students and their families. So I'm really excited about that. Like that's, I think, a big thing many people have been asking for years, and we're finally able to do it. And what's even better is we're able to do it without actually increasing the budget.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So, so if I'm abducted by aliens tomorrow, there's really no reason for it to disappear. Yeah, there's no reason for it to disappear. One of the other things we're helping to kind of navigate all that is, there's been lots of feedback I know from parents and staff and community members in general, which is, kind of like what else can we do to kind of provide these other help, kind of help guide the needs or the conversations or the attitudes or the responses of our students and all these, I mean, I don't want to say it's called character or anything like that, because I think that alludes to a lot of other things that is not appropriate. But I think it's just more of like, how can people deal with current stresses? Even things that we can fathom and other things we can't. That's where the social workers come into play. So one of the things that we've done is that we are going to be introducing what's in social emotional learning curriculum piece. And all that it does is really kind of just have people have very brief activities, like there's only so many throughout the year, like 20, which doesn't include, so it's not even one a week. It's a 20-minute lesson where it's facilitated by our teachers, who are incredible partners with our students in their day-to-day. So what better way to have it get facilitated, right, where you kind of have these different types of lessons that help people really kind of be aware of their surroundings, be cognizant of how people are or respond, but also how do you deal in high pressure situations, and and I think that applies to all ages, even ours.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And so what's great, and so all it does is really kind of help. It really helps build that internal capacity to navigate your own feelings and reactions. And so imagine like a lesson where you have a picture of a student with their back to the camera sitting on a playground. And the whole thing is you can say, yeah, it's a student sitting on a playground, but the greater picture of it is saying that there's no one around the student. And, and just trying to kind of like, well, what would you do? Like, I think some people even like that's almost where like there are buddy benches all over the place here. I mean, that's an example of how of how they can utilize other things that we have available to kind of meet the needs of students. It's not just a silver bullet. But I think what's great about having the SEL curriculum, because it's, students sharing ways to address, certain situations and discuss feelings, or what would be the appropriate way to do it. And basically then we have school social workers that are going to be there to kind of help deal with referrals or even help with current needs that we have, that we kind of need that expertise. And one big thing that we're also doing is really evaluating our systems, and I think systems matters. Systems for everyone is basically if A happens, what do you do? And it sounds very simple, and at the same time it's not. And I think we all know that like that's something that kind of just has to be evaluated in general, but what systems do we have in place that deal with mental health, that deal with the needs of our students, and also provide other supports that help our staff be able to navigate, facilitate, or de-escalate a situation, because all that is a responsibility of all of us as educators. So we're looking at what can we put in place that helps us be able to kind of respond most appropriately, or even kind of have a conversation that if we have to worry about student B in this class, or we even start noticing a pattern where there are students throughout a whole building that are having similar issues, what can we start creating and providing to help them out? This is just a need that really, whether people want to accept it or not, this is what we are tasked to do, and it's our responsibility. We're not getting help, from, comprehensive help. I don't care where you're at. You're not getting it locally, regionally, statewide, or even nationally. So it's up to us to become more of those, more the responsible party to meet the needs of all of our students, because they're not going to learn if they're not feeling wanted or safe, or they feel isolated. I feel for an introductory year within addressing mental health, it can't get more solid than that. It's going to evolve, but it doesn't get much more solid from the social workers, the curriculum, and the systems evaluation. I think all that is entirely critical. It's ridiculously needed, and I think to not do any shred of that would, I'm just going to say it'd be negligent. So anyways, we have a lot going on with it. So I haven't just been saying it; it's been followed through on. I know we got a lot of positive emails and feedback after that board meeting, along with other elements of that board meeting as well. So it's good. We're moving forward. We're moving ahead. So we're getting all the pieces in place, and that's important.
Yes. And so the idea of educating the whole child, I think this definitely speaks to it. The other thing is, as I was sitting here thinking, maybe we can put together, every time I hear you talk about it, I'm thinking there's so much good stuff. I need to put it in writing or in a form that we can post on the website. So I'll plan to do that. I'm putting that on my to-do list, and we'll work together to.
And another piece, I actually just forgot about this. One of the things that we're doing is we're restructuring our district social worker position, and we're restructuring a lot of responsibilities and positions right now to kind of make sure we got people in their appropriate lane, masters of their domain, and all that. But for the social worker, we're adding on another component to it, which is also family services coordinator, because there are lots of partnerships, whether it's from, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, or whatever. I mean, hospitals.
Yep.
I mean, we have lots of potential partnerships that we could be pursuing and collaborating with, but it takes a lot of time to go through and vet, and we also need a way that we can kind of start centralizing all this information, so that way not like we can kind of communicate with to all of our buildings, and then from our buildings within to students and families, here's everything that we have available, whether it's food services, general mental health counseling, or substance abuse, all those things. We need to start kind of centralizing and communicating all that. So, and that's another big component to all of it as well. So again, a nice, robust first year into mental health.
Yep. Good stuff to look forward to. Next, what is being done to help our students and their families who speak a language other than
I just
English?
love these questions. What is? I can see the finger being pointed. Well, also, we're getting traction there. So we've posted and we filled a director for bilingual ESOL education. So we actually have a point person for all that. We also are posting, and I think we're starting next week interviewing for interpreters, because I don't know. I think I could round up with one hand. It's from a nub of like how many of our employees speak Spanish or any other language. But really, for us right now, the biggest population for us is obviously Spanish, Spanish speaking, and I know it's funny because every now and again you get someone that will be like, well, just pull them out. So I'm pulling out teachers, or I'm pulling out administrative assistants, or I'm pulling people from either being with their own classrooms or dealing with other or managing and all. I mean, so it's kind of like, we need to have a system in place with people that are able to kind of carry out and really be able to kind of communicate and reach out with all these particular families. Like I'll even go, and like I envision to kind of help out with, even the registration and communication process, that we kind of centralize that into one particular area and try and direct all the families to assist in the registration process. But even like something like this, I imagine in my little mind that I would have after we record it, we would also then film and do a split screen, and you would have then it being interpreted, and then it's available to all the families who are speaking Spanish. So that way they understand what is happening in their schools, in the district, where their tax dollars go to as well. So I think it's a lot of outreach, and I know, man, since I like mental health and technology, I mean the bilingual piece has really, that I basically have been slapped across the face about, like, you need to do something, and I get that, and I think we're taking those baby steps in order to do it, because right now we just need to centralize it all. We need to start engaging, and I think also the other piece is trying to then attract employees who do speak more than one language. And it's funny because after actually the board meeting, I actually got emails from employees who said they do speak Spanish, but they didn't want anyone to know because they knew they were going to be pulled out of their classroom all the time because of the high need. So I think we got some capacity. We got to build out. We got to reach out. I think having curriculum materials available in other languages, which is very easy to do and very accessible, is something that we're going to continue to pursue upon. Expanding our libraries to engage in literacy and all that as well, and actually kind of going to the ESSER funds. We're going to be updating the heck out of all of our libraries and classroom libraries. And we're going to not only kind of bring that up to where it should be, we're also going to be kind of really diversifying the number of interests and language levels as well. So that way we can kind of try and engage more of our students within that process. Anyways, it's related and sidetracked. But my goal for next year, it sounds like a horrifically low bar, but it kind of has to be, because we just need to be able to kind of bring all these different pieces together and assess. Like, I can kind of say where we're at, but then start kind of creating those systems in place that can best meet all these particular needs, not just in terms of recruitment, but we got to talk about even the programming that we need to provide to our students, and really kind of getting down to like ability levels or literacy levels. And I'm going to use a great example. So we're actually looking at a science curriculum. new science curriculum for K. People have heard me talk about
Yep.
it. Spoiler, STEM scopes. So we're looking at this program, and when we've given access to some teachers, play around with it, have fun with it. And it's available in Spanish. And there was, in a conversation with one teacher in particular, she printed off a reading lesson. It was obviously tied to science. It was reading based. And it was available, and gave it in English, and the student failed. Gave it in Spanish, the student did extraordinarily well. Because then that raises the question about what is the real ability level of our students, and what services should we provide to really kind of help transition them through. So we have lots there to unpack. So my horrifically low bar is getting instructional materials available in languages other than English, which doesn't jeopardize the integrity or anything else of the curriculum or our expectations. Really improve upon outreach, meaning it's available and accessible. Even when we do board meetings, I'm probably going to have one of the interpreters there, and then telling one who needs one, the interpreter is available over there. That whole thing. So, but that way we can kind of engage and reach out on. That's something that's been coming across from community members, retired teachers, active teachers, local units of government. So, it's something that everyone's looking for us to do, and we're taking those steps. I look forward to really being able to provide some needed foundational stuff next year, and then it's really about saying this is what our multi-year plan is to meet all these needs, which does affect a continuum of programming and supports for all those students, which is like over a third of our population, which is important to stress.
Good stuff.
There's a lot, yeah.
I know. I was
I'm not
thinking,
bored.
okay, so
I'm not bored. Yeah.
Yeah. When do you sleep now?
Yeah. After I eat 10 pieces of Zestos chicken.
So, my last formal question for you, and again, thanks to those of you who sent in questions for us for today's session. What is the chain of command for a parent or community member reporting a complaint or concern?
Well, you go to the building first. So you go, I guess it almost kind of depends. In theory, you do it within your building, and you work your way up to me. That's probably the best, easiest thing. So, but because, I'll just say, like, if I kind of get something about a building, I'm going to ask the building administration, like, who is this person, what's going on, or the background and all that. So to me, that's kind of more like lost time, because I may not respond right away until I kind of know more about what's transpiring, whether real or perceived. So it's one of those things that they're part of the process, and if individuals want to say, well, I want you to know, or you be aware, or even the board or whatever, it's like, well, but that's still skipping a whole piece. And then all it looks, and I can tell everyone if they want to say skipping all these different layers somehow makes people enlightened. It doesn't, because the first question is, did they go to the did they go through the chain of command necessarily? So but that's just my piece. Obviously, I haven't turned away anyone who's reached out, but that's just, I guess, I don't know, that's,
well, often it might be best. The people at that level, that building level, are the ones who can best resolve most familiar with your issue.
Yeah, because sometimes I
Work with
do
you
then
on it.
just forward it to them and say address, and like I will say 9 out of 10 times it gets then resolved, and I get like an email or a quick phone call to Ms. Bickley saying like oh, it's been fixed, thank you.
Yep.
And I really didn't do anything. I forwarded to the principal, so like anyways, I digress.
Yeah. No.
I guess I'll take credit.
So, on our last formal session for this school year of our virtual community engagement, I wonder if you have anything you've been reflecting on, or anything you want to say about looking forward. You've told us a lot of good stuff about what we have to look forward to in the coming year, but anything I should have prepped you that I was going to ask you the big question.
Well, but you know what, like, and I think if anyone always likes sacrificing a few hours of their life, they can probably go like to the board meeting and even see kind of what I presented, and I think, and we're going to put it in writing so everyone can see it, and then people can kind of hold me accountable for it as well, which is, the way that I kind of see the vision rolling out here in Lex 2, I'm really kind of twisting the whole Champions for Children. I'm kind of turning it more from like an A for effort to like what the product is. And our product is that our students are champions. So that's kind of what I'm calling it, is like where students are champions. Because I think our expectations and treatment of them should reflect as such. And, because they are. And I even made a cute little graphic that I'm probably going to have some kids up here touch up. So you'll see it on there. It's like a stair and all these different people going up, and then the top one's like this. Anyway, and I did make it. My mom was impressed. And but I think that vision really matters for me. And I've been very open about, I think probably the thing I always comment with it is that people always want it to be done faster. And I think we need to get away from quick, short-term solutions and have long-term systems, informed systems approaches to a lot of these situations or problems that we're facing, whether real or perceived. And I think for me, a lot of the big things like, we're tackling mental health. We mentioned bilingual and all those different types of supports. I think for me, in terms of instruction, everyone's kind of heard what I think about. I want equal amount of time paid attention of the 4 core content areas in the elementary setting. I want to start diversifying and expanding upon the number of extracurricular opportunities and related arts offerings. I am a big proponent of standards-based grading. And that will be something that we're going to be, we already do some of it. We're going to be expanding it, fine-tuning it. But I think a big component, I swear, just before I got here, I think I had a couple of emails forwarded to me by Ms. Bickley about this, which is tied to the college and career pathway system for middle and high schools. And it's not tracking. That's not even accurate. I'm just going to make my face. It's what college and career pathways does. It gives opportunities to students. And it is reactive to what their interests and needs are. But it has to start early so we can build that capacity, that competency, that proficiency, that interest, that you're doing it from early on in 6th grade, and it leads into some sort of capstone into senior year. You still take whatever you want. Knock yourself out. You want to take, you can take nothing but AP classes. You want to focus on theater arts, we'll offer that. You want to get your trade certification, you do that. It doesn't actually limit to anything. It expands, but it puts in writing in detail for people beginning in 6th grade. Here are the opportunities that are available to you. So that does mean expanding upon the electives, right, and the high school credit options within the middle school, but it feeds into a number of possibilities here. It's like a recalibration of sorts, and from a lot of feedback, I don't think anyone's really opposed to that, especially secondary. So it's kind of one of those things that I'm excited about that, but that's going to be a significant undertaking, but has massive rewards for the students. And I think we have a lot of facilities and already some programs in place, but I think we got to really kind of just be able to say, if you're in 6th grade and you're interested, but here are the courses and electives that you can take. So that way, imagine that if I'm a high school teacher, that you have students coming into your classroom at a higher ability within that particular interest or content. Think then where you can take that. Mm-hmm. I was just at the BC. I'm going to use a recent example of this, and because it's not just about trades. It's not just about the number of AP classes you take. Or, that's all important. Don't worry. I'm not doing anything about that. If anything, I'll probably be expanding them. But at the BC theater production, the recent one, it was seniors who put on their own plays because they had the ability to do so. That's what it leads to. That's what it can lead to. So imagine if you're able to even expand that. I don't know, students building sets. How we can kind of do cross-cutting between all these different areas. And one that we did where I came from, you had those students then actually designing and putting together those sets. So they may have had more of a trades aspect and going that route, but then they were actually involved in actual school and district happenings. So that's a big thing for me. And I brought up the elementary, I brought up career pathways, mental health, the bilingual, we're doing a lot more with, I think there's a lot on the horizon. And if you want to go and watch that, I did keep it to under 40 minutes. You're welcome. Kept I think it's 38 and a half. Someone was making fun of me about. But it's all there. Of what I plan on doing under that particular initiative. So there's a lot.
Good stuff.
I'm not bored.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
So I, as usual, have a couple of announcements. I first wanted to remind everyone that I was counting up how many days we have till the end of the school, like 13, 14.
Man.
Like it's hard to believe. But I did want to mention that June 17th and 18th are our last days of the school year. They're both half days. So the dismissal times I have are 11 o'clock for elementary, 11:45 for middle, and 12:30 for high school. Those are also our graduation days for our two high schools, so we're excited about that. Don't forget about registration. It is open now for 4K, 5K, and all new and returning students at all grade levels. There's information on our website about that. And then yesterday, I believe we put out about our free meals that are continuing this summer by distribution. We have 3 distribution sites, I believe. One of those is a community site. We're delivering by bus again this summer. And there's more information on the website about that, including the bus routes and delivery times. So that's a good thing to note. The other thing I was thinking about as you were reflecting and looking forward is we talk a lot about what an unusual school year this is and how COVID has been disruptive, and that is true. As the person who gets the privilege of writing about the good things happening, there have been a ton of things, and I want to thank our local media who've been picking up a lot of that. But I'm just thinking about, from athletics. Of course, we had the soccer championship at BC. We had airport in the playoffs at baseball, track state champions. We had wrestling state champions. I could go on and on. There's a lot of good stuff in high school athletics. Saluda River Elementary School has built a little rock garden that every student has painted a rock for, and they're going to continue that forever as far as that garden will go, and that's a really cool project. Pine Ridge has a community garden with all kinds of community partners, which is so important for us. We have early college grads. We have your AP scholars that you were talking about AP, and just so many good things. And I am so proud of our kids, our teachers, our staff, everyone who has, really come together in a difficult year and achieved a lot of outstanding things. And so I'm just so proud of everybody for persevering. In what feels like it's been 5 years in this one school year because of all the stuff going on with COVID.
Yeah.
We have really
I think this summer everyone's looking forward to an opportunity to reboot.
Yes.
And
take a brief break. Break.
Not a bad idea. I had a principal. He gave the suggestion. He's like, you should just start the rumor mill. You should just move everyone to remote because everyone just needs to go. And I was laughing. I was like, yeah, I think a lot of people are, because it has just been such an exhausting, year plus, of just dealing with all this.
Yeah.
And I am optimistic about next year and that semblance of normalcy, and I think that gives everyone an opportunity to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you made me think of something that went right out of my head, but I don't know what. But anyways, and so we're signing off for the 2020-21 school year. Thanks for joining us for, we have all our past episodes posted online.
Mm-hmm.
We can from these events, and so
one earth-shattering episode after another.
That's right, and the big reveal, no mask.
Yeah. It all led to this. Like this is like really, it's kind of like the through line, right? Like that's the whole plot. Like that's all done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks again for joining us this morning, and look to hear from us. Maybe sometime this summer. You never know.
I don't.
Anyways, have a great day. Bye-bye.